Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. So if you have seen my last tutorials, we have done a tutorial on NodeJs Nginx Reverse Proxy using Docker, right? So what we have done in that is we have done the complete Dockerizing of NodeJs web app, and also we have created a Docker container for reverse proxy, and we have made the NodeJs apps running using as Nginx as the front end, right? So what we have done is we had Node.js and Express.js on Docker container. We have Nginx, and if a user is connecting from internet, he will be contacting the Nginx IP address, right, and which will be routing to the Node.js, right? So we'll be getting the Node.js app to the user, but we will not be exposing the Node.js IP address to the user. Okay, so what the steps we have done in that tutorial is we did some Dockerfile, we had done the Docker build, right, and deployed the container, right? So Node.js and Express.js, we have created a Dockerfile, right? Then we have created a Docker image using Docker build command. Then we have deployed into Docker container. Okay, so this is just a recap from the previous tutorial. So in this tutorial, what we are going to do is we are going to just simplify it a little bit. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to do the Node.js and Nginx Reverse Proxy using Docker Compose. Okay, so the steps involved in it is more or similar. Like we need to have a Node.js and Express.js on Docker and Nginx on Docker. Okay, to do that, what we will be doing is we'll make use of the Docker file which we created in the previous tutorial. Okay, but we will not be building a Docker image using Docker build command. What we will do is we will write the Docker Compose file, and when we run the Docker Compose up, it will automatically create Docker image and also the Docker container. Okay, so that will be the overall process what we will do in this tutorial. So before I get into the real task which I will be doing on Docker machine, I have a request for you. Like if you are new to my channel or if you haven't subscribed yet, kindly subscribe to my channel, like the video, share, and provide your feedback in the video link. So to just give a background again, so we have a Docker app which I have it in this GitHub location. I will be sharing these links in the video description, so you can use this GitHub link to get the Docker file. The Node.js app. Okay, and I have another GitHub where I have given the Docker file and Docker Compose and default.conf, which is used for Nginx. Okay, so let's go through this. So to start with the Node.js Docker file, you know, what we have done is we have a package.json, we are copying into it and we are installing it, and when we are copying the whole content from the Node app, right, to this location, we are exposing the port 888 and we are running the app.js. Okay, so that's what simply what we are doing here. Okay, and the other Docker file for Nginx, what we are doing is it's simply we are copying the default.conf to the etc nginx conf.d. Okay, so what we are doing in this default.conf is we are configuring the Nginx to port forward, or route this server, Node.js server :888 into the when we access the Nginx proxy, it should be passing into this web portal. Okay, so that's what we are defining it here. Okay, so that's all in this file. So I'm not going to explain much here. So if you want to know more, I would request you to go back to my previous tutorial. We have done all these things in that. Okay, so in this tutorial I just want to show how we are using the Docker Compose file. Okay, so to start, I have a folder called Node.js. Okay, and in that I have two folders, one for Nginx and one for Node Docker app. So if I go to Node Docker app, you can see I have app.js, Node document modules, package.json, views, and all those things, right? And I also have the Docker file. So these are all coming from my GitHub. Okay, so you can use it from there. Okay, and if I go to the previous folder, see Nginx, and I have default.conf and the Docker file. Okay, so this is already preset as part of previous tutorial, so that's what I'm not going to explain much here. So now what I want to do is I want to write the Docker Compose file. Okay, so I'll go to my Sublime text editor. So I already have written it, so I'll just explain you how the Docker Compose file work. So I have two services, one for Node.js app and another one for Nginx, right? So we need to have two services running. So since we are not building or we are not using the existing images from Docker Hub, I'm going to build using the Dockerfile inside this folder. So I have the Dockerfile inside node docker underscore app folder. So that's why I'm telling the build to look into that folder. Okay. And the container name, I want to give this name NodeJs server. Okay. Why? Because the default.conf, I have defined that, the proxy path should be NodeJs server :888. Okay. So that's what I'm defining the name here, and the ports should be exposed to 888, which from the host and Docker machine. Okay, and Docker container. Okay, and I'm using a network example-net. Okay, so why? Because I'm just want to make sure that both these services are in the same network. Okay, so default it may be in the same, but I just want to make sure that it's in the same network, so I'm just using a network. Okay. And if you see the Nginx, I'm using the build to look into this folder, Nginx folder, where I have the Docker file for Nginx. Okay, and I'm giving the container name Nginx, and the port it is for 8080. And Nginx, I'm defining that it depends upon the Node.js app. So it depends upon this service. Okay, so Nginx will depend upon the Node.js app service, and again I'm using the network here. And the network, as Docker Compose file, like you need to have the network defined here, and I'm defining it an external network. So what I want to do first is I want to create the network in the Docker. Okay, so let me create. So I want to create Docker network create. Okay, so if I go to Docker network, as you can see, the network is created here. Okay, now the next step is I want to create the Docker Compose file. Okay, and I want to copy the container from the Sublime text editor, and I want to paste it there. So this is the complete Docker Compose file. Okay, now just want to show, like, this Docker Compose file is in the Node.js folder. Okay, and these folders are in the same Node.js. Okay, I'm not creating the Docker Compose.yaml inside Nginx or node docker underscore app, because I'm defining that this build is from the folder where the Docker Compose is there. That's why I'm creating dot is means it's inside the same folder, and slash to the next folder, node docker app. So if you're keeping the Docker Compose file in a different location, then these location will change. Okay, now let's use the Docker Compose up. Okay, I'm not using the detached because I just want to show you what is happening. Okay, so now if you see, it started building the image, right? So if you see this Docker building Node.js app, so it's doing the build first for Node.js. Okay, if you see, it's going to the next phase, right? So now you see it's built the Nginx, and now it's telling the configuration is complete and ready. Okay, now we can try to access the Node.js application and also using Nginx. Okay, so first I will access directly the Node.js app. So it should be like the IP address and the port 888. Okay, so this is the Node.js app, right? So I think we also have something called home. So this is what the Node.js app. But what we did is, like, we had in this the same link as a proxy server in the front using Nginx, right? So you can directly access this IP address using port 80, or it's just like without 80, because it's default like that, right? So you can see we are able to access the Node.js app even if you use this IP address and without the port number 888, right? So since the Nginx and the Node.js is on the same server, we are using the same IP address. But if you have the Nginx is on a different server, you will be getting a different IP address for accessing the same Node.js app. So what does it means? Like, you are not exposing the Node.js app IP address and the port number to the outside environment. So people access using the Nginx IP address, which will be routing to the Node.js app. So that's all this simple tutorial. I just want to show how we can do this using the Docker Compose as well. So last time you saw like we create the Docker image by using Docker build, then we create container using Docker run. But now it's much simpler, right? You just run this Docker Compose and we have all this containers running. So that is all friends for this tutorial. I hope this is informative for you, and thank you for watching. Kindly subscribe to my channel, like the video, share and comment.